Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hey everyone, as the month of February is winding to an end, I'm starting to think a lot about coziness and creating this kind of den of comfort that is so desirable in the winter months, and how I think it's a natural outcome of being a mammal. Like we desire comfort and we want to have a safe space to retreat to. There's something about cold weather and just harsh elements outside, like everything outside, right? It's just ice and cold and hard, and it just makes you want to seek the opposite of that and run in the opposite direction. And what we're really wanting, or what I'm really wanting, is like the most soft fleece-lined pants and socks and this amazing like house coat that's like wearing a blanket that I can just hide in. I want to make all of the warm tea and just have a warm beverage to hold on to. I want everything to be a little bit dimmer. Like I don't even want brightness. I do want sunlight, but I like candlelight sounds really nice about now. Warm fires sound pretty nice. There's just something about tuning it all down, making it all a little bit more quiet. And some of that I think is my personality and just my personal preference. But I also think that it is the right time of the season for it. It's the right time of season for hibernating, for getting lots of extra sleep. Particularly, I've noticed that the days are already starting to get a little bit brighter and a little bit longer. And it feels like, gosh, didn't it only just get really dark? And yet, as the sun's coming out a little bit more, it's making me want to hold on even more to the tiny comforts. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready to go fast yet. I am not ready to engage full on with all of like the hard work that I know will need to be done in the spring. And some of this is that I enjoy working outside and, keeping my garden nice and having the house look good. And I like going out and seeing friends. But I know that that takes a certain amount of physical effort. And right now, what'll suck the life right out of me is to have to go out and shovel for hours at a time out in my very long driveway. And I always look at it as like, oh, this is great because it's giving you the opportunity for the exercise you probably weren't doing. But also it just points out how much I have resistance to having to do more right now. I'm not like, yay, it's snowing. Let's go out and shovel for 4 hours. It's going to be great. That's never how I feel about it. I'm like, oh no, I just wish I could stare out the window at how beautiful it is and take it in and let it be nourishing in that way and beautiful. But I don't want to interact with it. I don't want to change it. I don't want to change anything about it. Please don't make me go out there. And yet life has set me up in such a way that, of course, I have to go out and shovel the driveway because we still need to be able to get to school and work and have groceries and all the things that we need to leave the house for. But I find it so interesting that my psyche needs a break from everything, and it really is calling for a lack of activity. It's like a hard resistance against anything that requires deep effort. Right now really feels like a time for like minimal effort. So to all of you out there who are like, gosh, I just don't know why I just can't seem to get started doing things right now, I want to say it's not you, it's the universe. It's telling you that it's a slowing down time right now. And don't worry, you're going to have energy and you're going to want to pick up the pace on your own naturally pretty soon. And right now is not that time. And that's why there's so much resistance there. So I always like to explore my own resistance to things. What is it that's making me not want to do something? Why? Why does it exist? And I'm coming to realize that almost every single time, I'll just go ahead and say every single time, like if there's something that I'm pushing hard against, there is a reason there. And I just need to figure out what it is, or not even figure it out, just allow myself to see it So if my resistance is to having to go out and like buy groceries and do things that I know, like I need groceries, I probably have to go out and get them. Why is it so hard? Why do I not want to do it? When I ask myself that question, it usually boils down to I'm not getting enough of something else. There's something that I needed that I'm not getting. And it's like my whole body is like, no, I will not do another thing until I get the rest and recuperation that I so deserve. There's a diva that lives within, and it wants to be heard. And it wants to be pampered, and it needs, and it is not willing to give up that. So it's willing to pitch a fit and be awful about getting things done until it is honored properly and gets to have a nice hot shower and all the things that it wanted. It's so funny. So I don't usually come to that conclusion immediately either. That's what I uncover after I go through all the other things that I think are the reason that I'm upset. So I just want to let you know, there's probably a diva that lives within you as well. And like all it really wants is like, it wants hugs, it wants snuggles, it wants nice warm food, it wants to sleep a lot, it wants to be told it's amazing. Like that's actually the thing that's resisting all the other things. But what we'll think it is like, oh, maybe it's that I had to get this book project finished, or maybe it's like these 5 little projects that are over here that I should be working on. Like we come up with a lot of excuses and outside things that seem like they're very important and are probably the reason that we don't want to do something else. We try to come up with something external because we understand that more. We're like, oh, I understand why I don't want to go out and do hard work when the inside is kind of yucky and the laundry needs to get done and I don't have clean clothes. Like we'll come up with something that seems very obvious, but it's actually just another symptom of why we haven't been doing the laundry or whatever else is going on. And it's usually, it comes right back to that inside piece. That's like, I just need more attention. I need more love. And I'm going to stop doing things and make life difficult until you just let me rest. I'm not going to do any more. So that might be my own personal demon. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But I have the feeling it's familiar. So now I think is a time for carving out specific periods of rest, for being okay with a pace that is slowed down, for recognizing that there's about to be a big push forward, that spring is coming. And there will come a time when I get so stir crazy and I don't want to be inside anymore, where I'll do anything to get outside and work out and use my body and do all of the things. But today is not that day. Today is the day for like, I just want to give myself a facial or do something fun with my kid and have a spa day. Doesn't that sound nice? Yes. And I want it because it's a time of slowing down. It's also a time, I think, of like last reflections, I guess, on the past year and on the things that I want to create going forward in this year. I find that this season where we're on the cusp, right? Like we're not at spring yet. We're kind of in the deep winter, but we know that things are going to change. February, where I live, often has like a snap where it'll get like really, really cold and sub-zero, very icy, lots of snow, and then it'll flip to 70 degrees for one day, and then it'll flip back to negative 10 degrees. It's very all over the place. And I think there's something to be said about that as well, that when life is kind of unpredictable like that, it makes it very hard for us to plan or commit to anything. It makes it harder actually to do stuff. Like it physically actually makes life harder. And we can acknowledge that. And when we do, it makes our lives easier because we're like, oh, well, it just makes sense that things are harder right now. And maybe I don't want to plan as many things because it actually is legitimately harder to plan things right now. It lets us off the hook. It allows us to relax. And I, for one, am always looking for ways to offload stress response and find ways to allow myself that relaxation. To go like, oh, it's actually safe to calm down. It's safe to allow myself time and space to feel my feelings and to be okay. And I don't have to do it all. Something that feels so good in the winter months is honestly just like laying, I'd say on the floor. Like, I don't know why that particularly is good, but taking a blanket and just laying in a space that I don't normally occupy feels like such an indulgence. It's doing something different that takes like no effort. I think that's part of it. It's like the novelty of I'm going to lay somewhere that I've never laid before on the ground doing nothing. And I'll lay down and be like, wow, this is like doing yoga in my own house. But without having to actually do yoga, I'm just like laying here in Shavasana, staring at my ceiling or not, in my little blanket coat. And it feels awesome. And I'm just going to indulge that. And I think it hits a pleasure center of my brain going, you've done something new. It's something that you haven't done in a while or haven't done before in a place that you haven't done before. So that makes part of my brain really happy. There's the actual allowance for relaxing or feeling what it feels like to just let my body go and have the floor hold me. Like I don't have to hold myself up. There's something luxurious about that too, where I'm like, I'm not even holding myself up. I'm not even sitting right now. And it feels like I'm getting away with something, which also will make me feel happy. And then there's the actual I'm just relaxing. It is something that I highly recommend. If you're able to escape to a room where no one's around or people are and they don't care, lay on the floor and see what it feels like. You might be surprised. It could be awesome. Or it might not. Find something that works for you. That is always the other recommendation is you know what your body needs. You know what you're calling for. And it's okay to give yourself that. I like slowing down my pace and either dwelling in a quiet space where I'm kind of in my own thoughts and reading books and absorbing materials that help me have ideas and inspiration right now, or calling friends that I just really want to reconnect with or just keep fostering a connection with. So there's something about gathering someone near me to also just sit and hold a nice hot cup of tea and not have to do anything. Like I don't want to go climb a mountain right now, but I do want to sit and chat and smile and enjoy looking out the window at all of the cold and the snow. That would be nice. I think that there is a lot of wisdom in our innate desires. I think that they make themselves heard by having our cranky side come out. It lets us know what we really, really want or what we really feel like we haven't had enough of. And I think it's so smart and it's so brilliant. And I don't know that very many people tell you that. I think they tell you to always look on the bright side and always find the good thing. But I think there's a lot of good things in our crankiness, in the stuff that we say that we're upset about. Like there's so much wisdom there if we actually look for it. And I think this end of the season, middle of the season, I don't even know what to call it, the depths of winter, except it's starting to flip, so we don't know. There's a lot in me that is conflicted, that makes me think about what I want and who I am and how I can show up and what I want more of and what I want less of. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that and to indulge some of it. And then also, of course, you're going to get done what you need to get done. We all do. I think society as a whole needs far more permission to just relax and do what we need to do personally than do what we need to do for everyone else. So if you have been needing to hear it, then please receive right now complete permission to just relax, to do something that feels like you're getting away with something. Like, man, that just feels so good when you're like, ha ha ha. Something that I do maybe once or twice, well, probably twice a year, is I will schedule a spa day for myself. Like I'll have a milestone, right? So I do kind of connect it to something that I've done. Like I've earned it, but I will tuck it in and tell nobody about it. I'll just schedule it and go all by myself. And it feels like I have gotten away with something to the highest degree. And it feels like that because if I had to explain to someone else, like, hey, I'm going to go and have a fun day. Do you want to come? Like, I feel like I owe nothing to anybody. It's all about me. And I think that's the inner desire that needs to get met is like, I want a day that's about me getting what I want. I want a day that's about me having quiet and having nourishing food that someone prepared for me and I didn't have to do. And I want to go and not have anyone know where I am or interrupt me. And that feels like I'm just mischievous. And there's something delightful about that that makes me feel happy too. I want someone to pamper me. I want a massage. I want my muscles to feel good. And then when I return from that, it's in having allowed that indulgence, allowing myself to receive that deep need that my whole being was begging for, that allows me to then show up and be like, wow, I feel like so good that I want to give to everyone else. Like I'm ready to show up. I'm like willing to go that extra mile and drive farther and do things that normally I would feel very resentful for. So I think that's the other half of it, right? Like your resentments show you what you're missing. And then when you give yourself what's missing, you don't resent things as much. So it is two sides of a coin. And recognizing that about resentment allows you to feed the other half and give yourself some happiness. So yes, give yourself some happiness. Find the ways to pamper yourself in this season, to really give yourself a moment to hear what you need and to make space for it. I think in nature, right? Like all the hibernating animals, like they are giving themselves what they needed. They've got their break. We're allowed to have that as well. We can follow that natural rhythm. And we don't need to worry that if we indulge it, that we'll never come back and do hard work again. We absolutely will. It's just a matter of time. So give yourself the time that's actually here right now and do something wonderful with it. I'm wishing you a marvelous week, and I can't wait to see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.